The Galactic Empire had ruled known space for many cycles. Its borders were wide and strong, guarded by fleets and watched by silent machines. Trade lanes were mapped, ships were registered, and every movement was recorded. Order was the Empire's greatest pride. Nothing unexpected was supposed to happen. Inside a great monitoring hall above the capital world, officers stood at their stations. Screens glowed with calm blue lines showing normal traffic. Voices were low and relaxed. This was a routine watch, like thousands before it. Then a sharp tone broke the silence. An officer named Kyun froze and leaned closer to his console. A red mark had appeared at the edge of the display. It was faint, but it was there. He checked the data again. The mark did not fade. Confirming contact, Kyun said. His voice was steady, but his hands were tense. The system ran its checks. The result returned empty. No registration. No known signal pattern. No match in the Empire's vast records. That's not possible. Another officer said quietly. Kyun called for a senior controller. Soon, the calm hall filled with movement. Screens shifted. Data flowed faster. The unknown contact moved closer, cutting through space at a speed that did not fit known limits. It's not using our gates, someone said. It's not following trade lanes. A commander named Ryo stepped forward. He was older, his face marked by long service. He studied the display in silence. Send a standard hail, Ryo said. The message went out in clear diplomatic code. There was no reply. The unknown vessel kept coming. Far beyond the Empire's core worlds, deep in the quiet dark, a lone ship moved with purpose. Its surface was smooth and dark, without bright markings. Inside, the air was calm. Soft lights filled the control room. A man named Jay sat at the center seat. His posture was relaxed, but his eyes were sharp. He watched the stars stretch ahead of the ship. He did not speak. Behind him, Hana worked at a console. Her fingers moved quickly, but her face was calm. Numbers and symbols flowed across her screen. Every system was stable. All readings normal, Hana said. No tracking locks. They see us, but they can't touch us. Jay nodded once. At another station. They studied tactical projections. He was quiet by nature. He spoke only when needed. They will react soon, they said. This is the edge of their patience. Jay looked at the forward display. Let them, he said. We came to be seen. The ship moved on. Back in the Imperial Hall. Tension grew. Reports flooded in from border posts. The same message repeated again and again. Unregistered vessel. Unknown design. Ignoring all commands, the Empire's leaders were summoned. In a high chamber above the city, they gathered around a wide table of light. Faces showed confusion and anger. This is a failure of our system, one leader said. Nothing enters our space unseen. And yet it has, another replied. They ordered patrol fleets to move. Warships turned from their docks and formed lines in space. Their weapons were ready, but their crews were uneasy. The unknown ship did not slow. It did not change course. It's headed straight for us, a fleet commander reported. No evasive action. Some called it a bluff. Others whispered of a hidden power rising from the dark. On the human ship, Jay closed his eyes for a moment. Memories came to him, unbidden. Earth, blue and fragile. Humanity's early steps into space. The first meeting with the Empire, long ago. Back then, humans had come with open hands. They had asked for trade, for knowledge, for a place among the stars. The Empire had looked at them and seen weakness. They were ignored, dismissed, pushed to the edges. Humanity learned to survive alone. We are in range of their first defensive line, Hannah said. Jay opened his eyes. Maintain course. The Imperial fleets formed a wall ahead of the ship. Lights flared as weapons charged. A final hail was sent, filled with command and threat. Unknown vessel, stop at once or be destroyed. The message echoed through the human ship. Jay listened in silence. No reply? Hana asked. Not yet. Jay said. The distance closed? Imperial gunners waited for the order to fire. Sweat formed on many brows. This ship did not behave like an enemy, but it did not behave like a traitor either. It was something new, and that scared them. At last, the command came. Energy weapons flashed through space. Bright lines struck the human vessel. They faded and vanished. No damage. No change. Shock rippled through the Imperial fleets. Systems showed no effect. Weapons officers stared at their screens in disbelief. Again, a commander shouted. More fire followed. The result was the same. On the human ship, the crew barely reacted. The defenses absorbed everything without effort. They are testing us, Day said. Yes, Jay replied. As expected, the human ship passed through the defensive line without touching a single Imperial vessel. It did not attack. It did not slow. It simply moved on. Across the Empire, fear spread faster than any ship. News channels filled with images of the dark vessel. Citizens watched from their homes and stations, unsure what to believe. Some demanded protection. Others demanded answers. In the halls of power, the leaders argued. This cannot be allowed, one said. We must stop it. And if we cannot? Another asked. Silence followed. Jay stood and looked out at the stars ahead. The Empire's core worlds lay beyond, bright and crowded. We are almost there, Hana said. Jay nodded. This is only the beginning. The human vessel continued its journey, unchallenged and unstoppable, carrying with it the weight of humanity's long silence and the promise of a coming change. The unregistered vessel moved steadily through the void, leaving Imperial space behind it. Inside, the crew worked with quiet determination. Jay sat at the central console, watching the readouts, while Hana adjusted systems with careful precision. Dai remained focused on the tactical projections, ready for anything. Another patrol is approaching, Hana said. Her voice was calm, but her fingers flew over the controls. They will not recognize us, and they will not be able to stop us. Jay nodded. Let them see. Let them understand that we are here, and that we are not weak. They were humans from a world long ignored, long overlooked. Their ancestors had reached for the stars, only to be brushed aside by the Empire. The first attempts to contact the galactic powers had failed. Humans had been laughed at, called weak, incapable, unworthy. But humanity had survived, grown, and learned in secret. The Empire, proud and strong, had not noticed the small human colonies expanding quietly at the edges of known space. Now, humans had the chance to be seen. Back in Imperial space, reports continued to pour in. Commanders debated the nature of the vessel. Was it a weapon? A spy? A new alien threat? None of their databases had ever recorded its design. Sensors could not penetrate its hull. Communication attempts failed. And still, it moved forward. A fleet commander named Min Jun frowned at the readout. It ignores everything. It doesn't respond to warnings, to threats. It just comes. Another officer, a young woman named Haewon, spoke up. Then we must assume it is dangerous. We cannot allow it to reach the core worlds. The council argued into the night. Strategies were drawn, orders given, and ships prepared for engagement. Yet, even the bravest among them could not shake the feeling that they were facing something different, something not meant for violence, but still unstoppable. On board the human vessel, the crew discussed their mission. It was not to destroy or conquer. It was to prove that humanity could exist among the stars as equals, not as subjects or pawns. We do not seek war, Jay said, but we will not hide either. Hannah looked up. The Empire will test us. They will want to see if we are a threat. We must be ready, but we must also show them that we are controlled, disciplined. They nodded. Our presence alone is a statement. How we act will determine the galaxy's next move. The ship continued on, passing through sectors filled with Imperial patrols. Each time, the fleet attempted to engage, and each time, the human ship passed unscathed. News of these encounters spread like fire through the Empire. Citizens watched from orbiting stations and planetary cities. Some feared the humans. Some admired them. And some whispered that perhaps the legends of human weakness had been wrong. Imperial leaders grew uneasy. Internal divisions appeared. Some called for immediate destruction of the vessel. Others argued for patience and observation. Pride battled caution, and the Council struggled to find consensus. The fleet commanders received conflicting orders. Confusion and hesitation became the Empire's unexpected enemy. Jay sat quietly in the control room, listening to the faint hum of the ship. He thought of humanity's history, the long years of being underestimated. And he thought of the future, the possibility that humans could finally step into the wider galaxy, not as servants or victims, but as equals. Hannah interrupted his thoughts. We have reached the edge of the Imperial detection grid. They will still see us, but it will be harder for them to organize a response immediately. Jay looked forward. Stars stretched across the blackness, unbroken and vast. Good, he said. We must keep moving. Let them come to understand us on their terms. On one of the Empire's border worlds, citizens crowded to the observation towers, watching the reports from orbiting satellites. Images of the human vessel appeared on every screen. Its dark, sleek hull reflected starlight, mysterious and powerful. People whispered and pointed. Rumors spread. Children stared in awe. In the Imperial capital, a council of high-ranking officials met again. Tension filled the room. Generals argued, diplomats pleaded, and leaders weighed the options. The human ship's movements were unpredictable, yet deliberate. It was clear that its crew possessed knowledge, skill, and control beyond what the Empire had expected from humanity. One older diplomat, Su Bin, spoke quietly. Perhaps this is the moment we have ignored for too long. Humanity has grown. We must see them not as weak, but as capable. They will not be easily defeated. Another leader, Ti Wu, scowled. We cannot negotiate with them. They have entered our space without permission. They will be stopped. Arguments continued, growing more heated. The human vessel advanced, unbothered by the turmoil it caused. Inside the ship, Jay and his crew prepared for what was coming. They knew the Empire would not remain passive forever. They also knew that humans were not made for mindless destruction. Their strength lay in discipline, intelligence, and the ability to adapt. They had come to show this to the galaxy. The first line of their defenses is ahead, Hannah said, pointing to the tactical display. Jay stood and gazed at it. We do not attack, he said. We only move forward. Let them see who we are. The ship passed through the first patrol line. Imperial weapons fired, bright and threatening. But the human vessel remained unharmed. Systems held steady. The patrols, once confident, now hesitated, unable to comprehend the invulnerability before them. News spread across the Empire. Every fleet, every station, every citizen learned of the humans' journey. Fear mixed with admiration. Pride conflicted with disbelief. Humanity had arrived at the center of Imperial attention without firing a single shot. Council meetings grew more chaotic. Leaders yelled over one another, unable to find agreement. The young officers who had first detected the vessel now spoke of it as if it were alive, an entity beyond ordinary comprehension. On board the human ship, Day analyzed the patterns of the Empire's reactions. They are learning. They are testing themselves against us, not against weapons. Their pride is their weakness. Henna nodded. And our patience is our strength. We must keep showing them that we do not act out of fear or hatred. Jay leaned back, looking at the stars ahead. In time, they will understand. They will learn that humans are more than they believed. Not invaders. Not slaves. Not threats. But equals. The ship continued its silent, steady journey through space, carrying the crew and the weight of humanity's history. Each light year brought them closer to the Empire's core worlds. Each passing fleet added to the growing tension. And each moment strengthened the message that humans, long overlooked, had finally claimed their place in the galaxy. The unregistered vessel reached the edge of the Empire's inner systems. The human crew had traveled further than any had expected. Inside the control room, Jay studied the charts and star maps. Every move had been precise, every calculation exact. The Empire had noticed them, but it had not stopped them. Hana monitored communications. They are trying to send another message. It is urgent. They demand our identification. Jay shook his head. We are humans. They know who we are. Let them learn it in their own way. They watched the tactical screens. Patrol fleets moved with greater coordination now. The Empire was beginning to understand that this was not a normal intruder. Every commander in the human vessel's path hoped to block it. Every attempt failed. On a capital world of the Empire, citizens crowded the observation platforms. Tall towers of steel and glass reflected the stars as people looked upward. They saw the dark vessel moving silently among the stars. There was no smoke, no warning, just an unstoppable presence. Leaders of the Empire met again in the high chamber. Their voices were raised, their faces tense. Councils that had long been united now argued openly. We cannot let them reach the capital worlds, said a general named Hoon. And yet, our weapons cannot touch them, replied another, a woman named Bo-Ra. Every attack fails. Their hull is impenetrable. Their movement is deliberate. They are not reckless. Some argued for diplomacy. Some for immediate destruction. Pride battled caution, and confusion spread through the council. The human vessel moved on. Indifferent to the turmoil it caused, Jay called the crew together. They will speak to us soon. Be ready, but be calm. We do not seek their destruction. Hannah and Day nodded, understanding the weight of their mission. The ship's systems were prepared for any eventuality, but the purpose was not to fight. It was to demonstrate that humans could be disciplined, intelligent, and restrained. The first Imperial ships approached cautiously. Weapons charged, shields raised, the fleet bristling with threat. Jay's crew watched silently. The ships did not attack immediately. They studied, measured, and prepared. The first communication was sent. Imperial code, sharp and formal, demanded identification. Jay responded in the simplest of terms. We are humans. We have come to be seen. The message caused confusion and alarm. It was not a declaration of war. It was not a threat. It was a statement of presence. Imperial officers whispered among themselves. Humans, one said. They speak, but they do not attack. Others were less understanding. They are tricking us. We must destroy them. On board the human ship, Jay remained calm. He knew their goal was not to conquer, but to be acknowledged. The Empire would learn, in its own time, that humanity could stand among them without resorting to violence. Hana monitored the ship's shields and weapon systems. They are preparing for attack. Their energy readings are rising. Jay looked forward. Then we are ready. Let them test themselves. Our restraint is our strength. They studied the tactical grid. Their pride will push them to strike first. We must be patient. Imperial fleets opened fire. Bright lines of energy streaked toward the human vessel. The crew held their positions, unshaken. The weapons struck the hull, and the beams vanished without effect. Shocked commanders yelled and tried again. Each attack failed. Each beam collapsed harmlessly. The human ship did not retaliate. It moved steadily, as if asserting presence without aggression. Across the Empire, the citizens watched in awe and fear. News channels repeated images of the encounter. People debated what it meant. Could humanity really be so advanced, so controlled, so fearless? Back in the council chamber, arguments escalated. Leaders shouted over each other. Some demanded that all fleets fire at once. Others begged for restraint and observation. Pride, fear, and confusion clouded judgment. The human ship moved past the first line of defense and came closer to a major Imperial world. Panic spread among the citizens. Officials realized that this vessel was not a weapon of destruction, but a test. Humanity's intentions were not to harm, yet their presence alone challenged the Empire's assumptions. J spoke quietly to the crew. We will be seen. They will learn that humans are not weak, that we have control, wisdom, and patience. That is our power. Hannah looked at him, her eyes steady. And if they attack again? Then we respond only to protect, Jay said. We are here to prove our worth, not to take theirs. They nodded. Their pride is their weakness. They will learn eventually. The human vessel continued, steady and calm, toward the heart of the Empire. Every move was deliberate, every decision measured. Citizens and commanders alike were forced to confront a truth they had long denied. Humans were more than they had believed. Strong, disciplined, intelligent, and unyielding in their restraint. As the ship neared the Imperial capital world, tension reached its peak. Fleets surrounded it, weapons charged. Imperial officers stood ready, unsure of how to proceed. They had faced unknowns before, but never with such precision, such calm, and such purpose. The human crew watched the approaching fleets. Jay gave no commands. He let the Empire act, letting them measure themselves against humanity's presence. Hannah ensured the ship's systems were ready. They predicted every movement, calculating outcomes without rushing. All of them understood the stakes. The Imperial fleets waited, unsure. Citizens looked to the sky, witnessing history. Every sensor, every camera, every eye saw the dark vessel, steady and unstoppable, proving humanity's ability without aggression. The first formal meeting was set. A channel opened, and representatives of the Empire awaited a response. Jay spoke clearly, simply, with no threat in his words. We are humans. We have come to be seen and heard. We seek no conquest. We seek recognition. The message rippled across Imperial networks. Leaders were stunned. Some wanted to respond with force. Others wanted to listen. For the first time in centuries, the Empire faced a force that challenged not through destruction, but through presence and purpose. The human vessel remained calm, as if to say that strength was not measured in weapons or fleets, but in control, discipline, and the courage to be seen. The galaxy watched. The Empire listened. And humanity took its first steps into a wider understanding, proving that it belonged among the stars without violence, without conquest, only by being true to itself. The human vessel drifted calmly near the Imperial capital world. Inside, the crew remained focused. Jay sat at the main console, eyes sharp, watching every movement of the Imperial fleets. Hannah monitored systems, ready to adjust defenses, while Day calculated the positions and probable maneuvers of every enemy ship. They are readying a full strike, Hannah said. Weapons at maximum power, shields at full strength. Jay nodded once. Then let them act. We do not move to attack. We only respond as needed. Imperial commanders stood on the bridge of their flagship, Sweat lined the faces of many. Their pride demanded action, but their experience warned caution. They had faced unknown ships before, but none so disciplined, so controlled, and so calm under pressure. Every weapon they fired failed to breach the human ship's defenses. Their frustration grew. "Fire everything," shouted General Hume. "We will not allow them to reach the capital." The fleets obeyed. Energy beams lit the void. Explosions appeared in space, but all collided with the human vessel's shields and dissolved harmlessly. The humans watched, unflinching, as the Empire's pride and power failed to harm them. "Shield stable," Hana reported. "No damage. Systems are fully operational." "Good," Jay said. "Let them see the truth. Our strength is not in destruction, but in restraint and control." Day's eyes were sharp on the tactical displays. "They will continue to test us. They cannot understand a power they cannot measure." Across the Empire, citizens watched from observation decks, stations, and news channels. Bright streaks of energy lit the skies as fleets attacked and failed. Fear mixed with awe. Pride clashed with confusion. The humans were moving through the Empire without harming a single ship, proving their strength through discipline rather than aggression. Within the council chambers, arguments became furious. Leaders shouted, blaming one another for the inability to stop the vessel. Some demanded total war. Others called for restraint and diplomacy. Pride, fear, and disbelief battled in every mind. Jay spoke quietly to his crew. "Their actions show their fear. We must remain calm. Our mission is not to destroy, but to demonstrate humanity's ability to exist as equals. We are here to be seen." Hana glanced at him, her fingers resting lightly on the controls. "Our presence alone is teaching them. They cannot harm us, and we do not harm them." They nodded. "Every strike against us is a lesson they do not yet understand. We are not weapons. We are discipline, patience, and clarity." The Imperial fleets tried again, increasing the number of ships and the intensity of attacks. Energy beams crisscrossed the void. Ships fired in unison, expecting to overwhelm the human defenses. But the vessel absorbed every attack, and its crew remained calm. The Empire's pride faltered. Citizens and commanders alike realized that this was not a mere intrusion. Humanity was demonstrating control, intelligence, and patience. The very presence of the ship challenged the assumption that strength was only measured in firepower. Council members argued, shouted, and debated. Some could not accept that humans could be so disciplined. Some feared the consequences. Others began to wonder if perhaps humanity had been underestimated all along. The human ship advanced closer to the heart of the Empire. Jay gave no unnecessary commands. Hana adjusted shields when needed, fine-tuning the vessel's response. They predicted the fleet's movements with precision, ensuring they could avoid unnecessary conflict. A broadcast was sent from the human ship to the Empire. Jay's voice was calm, firm, and clear. "We do not seek to destroy. We do not seek to conquer. We have come to be seen and recognized. Our strength lies in restraint, discipline, and intelligence. Let this be the lesson of humanity." The message reached every fleet, every station, and every citizen. Murmurs spread across the Empire. The fleets paused, reassessing their approach. Some officers struggled to comprehend the situation. The humans were not weak, nor were they attacking. They were present, disciplined, and unyielding. Jay stood and looked at the stars. The imperial capital glowed ahead. The people of the Empire watched, realizing for the first time that humans had power beyond their weapons, beyond their technology, beyond their assumptions. Humanity had arrived without firing a single offensive shot. Hana checked the ship's systems again. No signs of structural weakness. We could defend against them for days if needed. Then let them test themselves, Jay said. Our mission is complete when they see us as equals. Dai continued to monitor the tactical displays. Their pride may cause more attacks, but they will learn. We are not a threat to destroy, but a force to respect. The fleets hesitated again. Reports came in of ships unable to breach the human vessel's shields. Officers whispered about the impossible resilience of this ship. Citizens watched in awe and fear. The Empire realized that its first true challenge was not an enemy to destroy, but an example of what humanity could achieve. The human vessel moved steadily. The crew remained calm. Every system was prepared. Every maneuver calculated. They were disciplined, intelligent, and patient. Their mission was clear. They sought recognition, not conquest. As the ship approached the imperial capital, the council finally saw the reality. Humans were strong, but their strength was not in attack. It was in presence, control, and the courage to stand without aggression. The Empire was forced to confront its assumptions, its pride, and its fear. Jay spoke quietly to the crew once more. The lesson is being learned. They will respect us not because of fear, but because of understanding. We have proven humanity's worth. Hannah nodded. And we have done it without bloodshed. They looked at the approaching fleets. They will remember this. The galaxy will remember this. Humanity has shown that strength can come without violence. The human ship drifted calmly among the Imperial fleets. Energy beams faded, weapons discharged harmlessly, and the Empire's pride was shaken. Citizens watched, leaders debated, and fleets paused. Humanity had arrived not as conquerors, but as equals, proving that discipline, patience, and intelligence could change the balance of power across the galaxy. The human vessel hovered near the Imperial capital world, its calm presence sending ripples through the fleets and the council chambers alike. Jay remained at the main console, watching every display with precision. Hannah adjusted the shields and monitoring systems, while they analyzed the movements of the Imperial fleets with careful attention. Their fleets are holding position, Hannah said. No more attacks for now. Good, Jay replied. They are learning. Patience has its own power. Across the Empire, citizens observed from stations, towers, and homes. Bright energy flares had faded, and the human vessel now moved silently among the Imperial fleets. The people whispered and watched, realizing the humans were not aggressors. They had come not to destroy, but to be recognized. In the council chambers, arguments shifted from aggression to negotiation. Pride still held, but caution grew stronger. Leaders debated what it meant that a single human vessel could deflect the Empire's might without harming a single ship. We must meet with them, said Subin, the elder diplomat. We cannot fight them, and yet they are here. Humanity must be acknowledged. Others argued against diplomacy, fearing loss of control. But the evidence was clear. Humans were not invaders, nor were they reckless. They were disciplined, patient, and intelligent. The council realized that strength was not only measured in firepower. Jay gathered the crew for discussion. Our mission is almost complete, he said. They are beginning to understand our presence, our intentions. We seek recognition, not conquest. We have shown that humans can be disciplined, controlled, and capable without using violence. Hannah looked at the systems. We are ready for anything, but so far, our restraint has spoken louder than their weapons ever could. They nodded. The Empire's pride will guide them now. They will approach for dialogue. They will learn respect through understanding. A communication channel was opened, and representatives of the Empire spoke formally. Their voices carried authority, but there was caution in every word. Jay replied with clarity, simple and calm. We are humans. We have come to be seen and acknowledged. We do not seek to dominate. We do not seek to destroy. We seek understanding and respect. The message echoed across the Empire. Fleets paused. Citizens watched. Leaders considered their next steps. Humanity had arrived not as aggressors, but as equals, proving their worth through presence and restraint. Diplomatic representatives were sent to meet the human vessel in neutral space. Jay welcomed them, calm and composed. The talks began, not with anger or threats, but with words of respect and reason. The humans' history, their discipline, and their intelligence were discussed openly. The Empire, humbled by its inability to stop the vessel and awed by its restraint, began negotiations. Agreements were made for recognition, trade, and shared knowledge. Humanity's place among the stars was no longer ignored. Across the galaxy, species watched. Humanity had arrived not with bloodshed or conquest, but with courage, patience, and intelligence. The human vessel had demonstrated that true strength was in control, discipline, and the ability to stand firm without aggression. Jay stood at the command seat and looked at the stars. "We have been seen," he said quietly. "The Empire has learned that humanity is capable, disciplined, and equal. Our presence has changed their understanding." Hana smiled softly. "And we did it without harming a single being." Day nodded. "History will remember this. The galaxy will remember this. Humanity has shown that strength can come from wisdom, not violence." The human vessel slowly turned to leave the imperial system. It carried with it the weight of history, the presence of discipline, and the promise of equality. Across the Empire, leaders and citizens alike watched and considered the future. Humanity had proven itself. As the ship drifted away, Jay spoke one final time to the crew. "Our mission is complete. We have been seen, understood, and respected. We have shown that humans can stand among the stars without domination, without cruelty, and without fear. This is our gift to the galaxy." The crew of the human vessel worked in quiet satisfaction. Every system remained functional. Every star outside glowed silently. The Empire remained in turmoil, but change had begun. Humanity had claimed its place not by force, but by courage, wisdom, and restraint. The human ship moved through the stars, carrying a new symbol of shared power. It was no longer just an unregistered vessel. It was the beginning of a new understanding, a proof of what humanity could achieve. Across the galaxy, species watched, citizens reflected, and leaders reconsidered their pride. Humanity had arrived, not to conquer, but to belong.